And a good day to you, Explorer Nation. John Lynskey here, Season 5, hard to believe, half a decade, Episode 1 of Looking Back with Lynskey, and no better way to start Season 5 with the OG OB himself. 43 years, an explorer, educator, two-time Hall of Famer. To call him a legend is not giving him nearly enough credit. He's been my guru, my mentor, my spiritual advisor. I can't say enough about this great man. So, Explorer Nation, please welcome the great, the Iron Manatee himself, Steve O'Brien. OB, thank you for being here, bro.
Hey, namaste, dude.
Always namaste. So, OB, we did this like episode 2 of season 1, but it was audio. Obviously, we've advanced greatly in this
before the digital age.
Yes, and now we're using artificial intelligence, which is good for us. So it's nice to be on screen with you. And I was thinking about something. Did you know that we have now known each other officially 40 years?
Wow.
Yes. Wow. Okay. I think that sums it up.
When's the parole board meet?
Perfectly. There's no parole from this place, dude.
Holy shoot.
Oh my. I remember. It's funny what you remember, because you can't remember anything when you get to be a certain age. But there's fragments. I remember when I first met you, I literally had no idea what I was doing. And there was no new teacher program guidance. There was nothing.
No.
They in the deep end of the pool with weights on, and you better swim. So I was given advice by the venerable Carter Burst that I should, this guy O'Brien, he knows what he's doing. And so I don't think you were a willing participant, but
Not in the least.
Not in the least, but I attached myself to you. And I learned how to teach at this place from you. And here we are all these years later.
Oh, yeah.
How do these things happen?
Yeah, I remember your first day very well. The over-under pool was 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
It reminded me of seeing like a little baby kitten on I-95 lost in a rainstorm. You had to pull over and, adopt him, so. Yeah.
That bad, huh?
But he was like,
Oh my Lord.
I don't know. You had an aura to you, and that aura seemed to suggest that maybe you had chosen poorly in your career. But hey,
perhaps I did. I don't know.
You can never judge a book by its cover. And, obviously we were terribly mistaken, and I lost that bet.
And I appreciate it. But you helped me win that bet, just by showing me the ropes of this place. So all these years later, decades later, half a lifetime later, whatever, how do you see Columbus High School now?
Are we still talking about the fact that you beat Darwin's theory of, never mind. Okay.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Okay. We're moving on. I'm sorry.
Wrong.
I'm sorry.
That's just wrong. So how do you see this place now, all these years later?
40 years later, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I got to contemplate this. I mean, I can remember
It wasn't a hard question.
It's hard because you cannot even begin to measure the changes this place has gone through. I mean,
okay,
here's one the faculty will appreciate. There were extra parking spaces.
At this school? Wow.
Yes.
You're right, there were.
When I got my first X-ray, I got a physical. I got an X-ray. There was chalk dust in my lungs. I think the chalk industry has failed, right?
Oh, there is no.
Do we even make chalkboards in America?
Kids don't even know what chalk is.
Yeah, I had chalk inhalation. That's how much we wrote.
It was like coal miners.
Yeah.
Black lung. It was white lung.
We had picture day.
Picture day. Those were the greatest moments of the week.
Hundreds of magazines stacked in your poorly furnished apartment because you're a beginning teacher, right? No, don't throw those out. I need them for picture day. They're wet, they're moldy, right? They're going back to 1943. Picture day. And now we got artificial intelligence where they virtually. You don't even know if we're actually talking to you. The whole thing could have been generated.
Well,
I'm still in bed.
You know, the artificial intelligence, there's been a lot of artificial intelligence here for years because there's not a lot of natural intelligence here. Wouldn't you agree with that?
I can't wait to see how you get out of this one. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. I still believe that there's a place for real teaching. And you are one of the acolytes of old school. You've adapted, you've modified, you've adjusted, but you still see your role is to give them, share with them information, not have them retrieve it and give it back to you.
No, that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Well, it's a tradition. I had some really great teachers, and I think we may have talked about this in the earlier podcast. Is that when you grew up in the 1960s and 70s, that was a time of intellectual, social, and even religious revolution. I'm going to use the word revolution.
That, you know what? I think you're 100% correct. Continue with that.
I mean, some of the books we read. That's one thing I will say that's changed with it. I think we did a little bit more reading back in I think there was more required. Well, it wasn't that it was required. We wanted to. The topics that the teachers asked us to read were phenomenal.
Absolutely true.
We read stuff, the most radical stuff possible, and it was okay because it really kind of gave you a full perspective of the world, and you began to realize that, maybe, just maybe, because I think it doesn't mean that it's true. Maybe there's other opinions out there and other worldviews that could actually make me, do I dare say it, a better person?
Yeah. I mean, reading, it is what it is. They don't, real books and stuff, I think there's still a place for them. But, you've got to adjust to the world. At the same time, we have air conditioning and teachers don't smoke in class anymore. So there's that. Things do change. And I think you've done, and some of the other veteran teachers have done a very nice job of balancing, because let's face it, smart boards and all that, it's cool.
Yeah.
It makes your job easier, but you still got to teach. And I think you found that balance. You mentioned something a minute ago. We both had great teachers. That's why we're here. The other day, in an epic ceremony, we dedicated the oak tree in the east end zone here at school to Carter Burris, the Carter Burris Perpetual Oak. A simple question: would you have become a teacher without Carter Burris?
Oh, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
His passion, well, to this day, I'm still teaching Florida history. I picked that up from Carter.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Seminoles were still in the western part of the campus. The Miccosukee and the Seminoles were, the nation was not too far from the western edges of Columbus. And, I kind of missed it a little bit, but his passion for, when you sit down and you talk to people about Florida, I might be wrong about this, and usually I am, but there's a lot of people that don't understand history, the value of it, and why it's really important to study. And there's a lot of people who understand how great Florida really is. I mean, if you think about the number of urbanologists and other people that are studying and trying to predict where the future of the United States is going, they come to Florida because Florida is so deep into the next century that, it's all happening here in Florida. I mean, for example, the big debate is South Florida still part of the United States, or is it the northern gateway to Latin America? So, the idea of the mega city, the idea that the Eastern Seaboard is just one gigantic mega city. So Florida is, and all that started, not to digress too much, it all started with the passion that Carter Burris had. I really, really got into those old stories about the, Florida crackers and Spanish treasure ships and, the Seminoles. Yeah, I know, it was great. And did you know, as you used to say, DYN, right?
Yes.
All you Key rats who live in Key Biscayne, did you know that lighthouse got attacked in 1836 by the Seminoles? See, you didn't know that.
No, they did not know.
And I will give you a special prize. You can tell me who Eddie Rickenbacker was. That causeway that you drive over and you're always complaining about because the traffic's so bad? Eddie Rickenbacker. How many people know who Eddie Rickenbacker is? Carter Burris taught me that.
Yeah. And the one thing about this city, there was tremendous history here, and unfortunately,
there still is.
There still is, but so much of it has been discarded, like yesterday's news.
Yeah.
it's a shame. But people like you help to keep it alive, and you did inherit that from Carter.
Yeah.
And God bless him. Without him, I don't know where this school would be.
Right. And and it's a complete. I think we need to get that falsehood off the table right now. Right. Don't worry if you're a Miami Dolphin fan. Don't worry. There's no proof that your stadium was built on a Tequesta burial ground, and that's why you'll never win a Super Bowl in Miami. That's completely false.
Mr. O'Brien. Oh my! But we both also shared some other tremendous teachers. Mike Dean.
Oh,
You had an unusual situation with Mike Dean, was Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, your religion teacher?
Mike Dean was my religion teacher.
Talk about that, because I think that was a short-lived
Oh.
experience.
Michael Dean. Now, my memory doesn't serve me much anymore,
No,
unfortunately.
it really doesn't. But
It's as you get older, they start taking things away from you. But Michael Dean, I think there was, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was a theory that if the athletic coaches were going to mold young men in the Christian marriage tradition, that maybe it would be best, and it was a noble experiment, that coaches should teach religion. And, I could have this skewed, but I think that's what I remember.
okay,
And, Mike Dean was a real man.
he was man's man.
Was he ever?
Yeah.
And he taught something which I consider to be interesting. I'm going to call it bare knuckle Christianity.
Yeah, you use that expression. You
Yes.
still do. Yeah.
Yeah, bare knuckle Christianity. It was no gray. It was all black and white, and you're going to learn it, and you're going to like it. So
Or else.
Or else. But you know what? I had tremendous respect for Mike, and I still do. And he put the time in, he put the work in. That's why he's such a great teacher. He was a great. You can always tell great teachers because great teachers read. I'm not going to change my opinion on that. Right? All great teachers of Columbus read.
What's the Harry Truman quote? All readers aren't leaders, but all leaders must be readers.
You can't go wrong with that. That's the guy that didn't even graduate college.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the most
favorites.
learned people may not have a degree, but
Yeah.
they are self-taught through reading. So everybody's had their journey to Columbus, and we all got here in various ways and everything else. You had a very interesting sojourn to this place. So talk about how you ended up here, and you had some interesting previous careers, in Dade County.
Yeah, I think we talked about that.
Yeah,
a bit.
let's talk about it again.
For you guys that are complaining about the price of gas, you should have gone back to 1973. I'll make it quick, okay? We had this thing called the Yom Kippur conflict. And if you don't know this, the Middle East produces a lot of oil. And at that particular time, we had an ally by the name of Israel. And Israel was surrounded by a lot of people who did not like them or appreciate their culture. In fact, the Israelis were outnumbered 33-1. So without getting into great detail, they had these big brother, and this big brother was called OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. And they only do three things. They produce, they price, and they worry about petroleum, okay? So they decided to give the United States a little punch in the back of the head. They decided to embargo a percentage of imports to the United States. You say, well, what do I care? Why are you belaboring this point? Because there was no gas.
That's important.
The economy, there was no gas. Prices went up.
You couldn't get it.
You couldn't get it. Grocery stores, the supply chain broke down. There was no gas. You have a locking gas cap. There were no locking gas caps in the 60s. We still trusted each other. Now we got guys running around with hoses, sucking gas out of your tank, right? These were bad days.
It's true.
Ride around FSU on my bicycle because my broken down Volkswagen doesn't have any gas. But anyway, to belabor the point, it was a trickle down effect, and there was a teacher freeze. There was every type of freeze, and I was graduated with a degree for teaching, finished 2 internships, and I can't get a job. I traveled. Oh man, it was a saga. So I ended up with a couple of weird jobs, but my favorite one was actually with the United States Department of Agriculture. And I was with the Mediterranean fruit fly and black fly program. So basically, I'm a Roman Catholic with Buddhist tendency, and my job was I was a hitman for the USDA. My job was to save the citrus industry, to kill every black and fruit fly in South Florida. And we did. And I loved that job because you know why? They just gave you a set of keys. You got your own truck. You got your own little mist blower, which was a snowmobile engine with a 5-gallon container of toxic fluid on it. My job was
it couldn't have probably been very good for you.
I'm sure it wasn't, but we were young and I did Lynskey. And we went out to the countryside and we sprayed citrus everywhere. We sprayed citrus.
And we're back. A little bit of a technical glitch, Apollo 13, but failure is not an option. So here we are.
Sunspots.
Yes, sunspots. Yes, indeed. So you had this really cool job at the USDA you were talking about.
Yeah, it was great. It's funny because when I was young, I always wanted to have a job outside. I don't want to be inside. I want to be in the sunlight. And that job at USDA is perfect. OB, you became a teacher. You're inside all day long. No, I was a coach for a long time too.
You got your outside time.
I got to get that vitamin D and all that other stuff. But anyway, right. A
little bit too much vitamin D.
Well, you're not kidding, boys. Talk about leather. But anyway, you want to give OB lots of moisturizer. We okay? Yeah. But anyway, hey, Florida sun. Anyway, back to the story. Okay. So it's interesting because you got to meet all these people. I talked to a lot of people who were that World War II generation, the Korean War generation, right? And
those guys.
And it was just an interesting mindset about the adventures these people had gone through. And it was that part I really, really enjoyed because I was practicing history because it was oral history. I was learning about all these, and it's interesting. Go back and look at the yearbooks, right?
Yeah.
Go back and look at the yearbooks in the 1960s and 70s and look at the surnames, right? And compare it to the surnames of today. History doesn't stand still. And, and Miami is not a dead town. And Miami's had like 5 or 6 different episodes that I can see where there's been a complete paradigm shift of ideas, people, cultures, everything. And it's just, this is such a vibrant town, but I really enjoyed the social aspect of working for the USDA. And I probably would have stayed there had the economy not tanked and Jimmy Carter cut the program. So, fruit flies came back, they won, and you got stuck with me because I left USDA to go to other places and then eventually came to Columbus.
You had a great point a moment ago, and I wanted to circle back to it. You said you're a Christian with Buddhist tenets. Your spiritual journey, in all seriousness, has been quite interesting.
Yeah.
And I think you have done, it's been a journey, and the fact that you are willing to understand and look at other religions, and you're Catholic by birth and everything.
It's a great read. You get a chance, read that book.
Yeah, read the book.
I get no royalties. I just do this because I like the book.
There you go.
Okay.
The Untethered Soul. Talk about your spiritual journey if you want to.
Yeah. It's I'm always about that duality of man. The yin and the yang. The old Native American story of which wolf is going to grow in your spiritual world. The white wolf, or the black wolf. The white wolf is integrity and optimism. The black wolf is sarcasm and despair. And it's whatever wolf you feed the most is the one that's going to win. So I love all that Native American spirituality. I love the East, I love it all. But at the end of the day, truth is truth. And the whole model is trying to be just 1% better today than you were yesterday, and 1% better than you were. It's all about compassion and it's all about understanding. Now, do I always practice that? No.
Well, everybody's a work in progress. Everybody's human. But you're not as assertive as you used to be.
Yes, that is true. I've had a great awakening. Yeah, I've had a great awakening.
Where'd your interest in Buddhism come from? Because I know, like you, I was born and raised real Catholic. So how'd you get into
Once again,
here we go.
Once again, a Columbus teacher. And I'm trying to remember, was it Brother John? I don't know. It's just, my DNA is fried.
CTE.
Yeah, it's just, I read a book by Herman Hesse called Siddhartha.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was all about. I read it again. I got the anniversary copy right there.
Yeah.
I started getting into Herman Hesse and all that stuff, right? And wow, it just changed my perspective on a lot of things. So, it was, I still go to church, I still go to 7:00 mass in the morning. That self is a sacrifice getting up that early, because as Jimmy Buffett said, there's a fine line between
Saturday night and Sunday morning. Yes,
I'm not suggesting anything.
Oh,
I never lived my life to be a role model, but
you and Charles Barkley.
Don't do what I do what I say.
Yeah, it's funny how that works.
Yeah.
Yoga.
Herman Hesse. Yeah.
Yoga.
Yoga. Yeah.
Talk about yoga. You're becoming a master.
I hate to use that term, but I've had some phenomenal teachers. In fact, one of my first teachers was actually from India, and she was a disciple of Sai Baba, and that put my feet on the path. Yoga has saved my life. Now, I don't mean that flippantly. I've had some health issues, and still going through some health issues, and yoga has given me the wherewithal to take that pause and to see if these hardships that the universe has given me could actually be a gift.
Explain what you mean by that.
Go ahead.
All right, I'll count down from 3. 3, 2, 1. Well, Explorer Nation, Mr. O'Brien and I are soldiering on. We've had a venue shift. Obviously, first day of school, things are happening around Columbus High School. But Mr. O'Brien, let's pick up your saga with your great yoga instructor.
Oh, Miriam, a German nationalist who spent 6 months of the year in the United States, 6 months in India, who could quote the New Testament better than anyone ever met, and also could quote the Gita. What a woman. It's funny because when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And she appeared.
Yeah.
And then when my mission was over and she taught me, and then she disappeared. But she said, your feet are on the path. And that was 2006 when I last saw her.
There's a lot of great clubs here at Columbus High School.
Yeah.
I mean, you founded back in the day Stand for the Silent, the Anti-Bullying League. And to be honest with you, bullying is not an issue here anymore. And now you've got another great club. Talk about your mindfulness club. This is pretty cool.
There was a Columbus benefactor. I'm sure he would not, or she would not want to be named.
Okay.
It was a beautiful gift. And there's a doctor by the name of Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, and he was he's up in New England, and he was concerned about or interested about the mind-body connection. And so he went into a deep research and practical practices of using meditation.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately or fortunately, as it may be, when you're bringing in Eastern breath control and mind control, I use the mind control only as the ability to turn your mind into a tool that serves you. And so he had to sanitize it. So he took all these Hindu and Buddhist practices, right? He sanitized it and he made it a practical, everyday, secular ability to focus and hone the mind and on the present moment.
Okay.
And unfortunately, in America, we have a disease here, and that disease is simply called the inability to focus on the present moment. So a lot of people, and I'm guilty of this still, a lot of people either are always ruminating about the past, are concerned about the future, and they sacrifice the present, worrying about the future, and 99% of the times it doesn't happen. Or the past, which was, you are who you are because of the past, and you should not allow what you think are mistakes to hold you back, because often those mistakes are the best teachers we ever had. So it's a really practical, ancient idea of if you control your breath, you can control your thoughts. And if you can control your thoughts, you can control your mind. And if you control your mind, you control your life. And that how every single moment is a gift, and that every single moment has the ability to teach you something. You know, we're always like, okay, we're sitting here, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I wish this was over. So I go get another cup of coffee, get a piece of banana bread next door. But by doing that, right, you're sitting in a class you want to be in, right? You have just lost the gift of the present moment. So it's a practical, very easy to learn practice that slows you down and it lets you, as they say in the old days, let you smell the roses.
There you go. So you'd rather be drinking coffee and eating banana bread than be sitting next to me?
I can't wait to get out of here.
Okay. 40 years of this. But, you know.
Hey, we lasted longer than,
a lot of things.
A lot of things, yeah.
But it's really interesting that, you know, we got teenage boys here.
Yeah.
The fact that you got so many kids interested, I mean, like so many good things that started with just a few faculty members.
Yeah.
And now you've got young men who are seeing the value of this. That's pretty cool.
Well, like I said, that Columbus benefactor picked up the tuition for about 11 or 12 teachers. And, we went through 65, 70 hours of the training. And I think with the young people really, really respond to this because, John, in all seriousness, I wouldn't want to be a teenager in these days.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
No, I mean, gosh, you guys have got it. Maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like you had it tougher than we had it. I was okay without a cell phone.
I couldn't agree more. Being older has its downside. But what I trade growing up when you did, to be 17 again, there's zero chance of that.
I mean, ask these young kids. I mean, listen, our business is young people. And we love you, right? But ask young people, you never built a tree fort? You never, Mr. O'Brien, how'd you live without 372 channels?
Ask them what an encyclopedia is. And we're not being.
No, I'm not judging.
No,
There's no judgment at all. I mean, listen, I love these kids and I really do, but I just believe there's an inordinate amount of expectations and there is stress, and that stress that these young people go through needs to be discussed and recognized, and we need some self-care and some self-love.
No, I think it's great in all seriousness, and if you change the life of one or two kids in that regard, then mission accomplished.
Yeah, but John, they changed me too.
Good point.
Yeah, these kids changed me too.
That's a good point.
There's some alchemy going on here. This is not just a one-way experiment. This is some alchemy.
Absolutely correct. I think the best teachers learn from their students. And that's got nothing to do with subject matter.
And God bless the administration, because the administration has really backed me up. And I've had some pretty wacky ideas, and they just like, okay, OB, we're gonna let you run with this.
You've had
we don't know where it's gonna go.
You've had some twisted notions.
But the stand for the silent, bring that back a little bit. That was really, I'm glad it's still going. And there was really a need in our culture to understand about being different. And now it's a little bit more mainstream. But when we started, there was people that were not comfortable being different. And this is one of the most safest environments you could ever be in at this school, at least in my opinion.
It's really amazing, the social dynamics of this school. And yes, it was a long time ago when we were in school and all that. But now at this place, the diversity, you can be whatever you want to be. Nobody cares. People appreciate it. And I think being, as you say, our business is young people. When you're 14 or 15 and you don't have a place to fit in, that's a horrible experience. It's a terrible way to go through high school. Everybody here has a niche. I couldn't be happier or prouder of that. And I give our administration and our president, everybody, the Maris brothers, credit for that. We've got an open campus, not open in a physical sense, but in a sociological sense.
Oh,
We
yeah.
have an open campus.
Yeah, you know what I kind of like? There's a lot of tribes here in Columbus. There's a lot of
There's some
tribes,
serious tribes here.
but one nation. There's
One
a lot of
nation,
tribes
yeah.
for one nation.
No, that's really well put.
Yeah.
And it's what we somehow organically have learned how to do. And, that people ask, what are you guys happiest about? What are you proud? That.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have come a very long way. And, Obi, we have been here a while, and we've lost some people on the way.
Mhm.
On October the 21st, it's a Saturday, we're going to be hosting the Fred Foyo Beer Fest. Is there anyone more apropos to have a beer fest named after them than Fred Foyo?
Let me say this about that.
Please
In
do.
the words of Richard Nixon.
Yeah.
I will be the first person in line, and I will be the last
Last
person
person
in
in
line.
I mean, what he brought to this school, that's an intangible, and we miss him dearly. And Maria, God
Every
bless
day.
her.
I can't, I'm not going to tear. Well, I might tear up.
That's okay.
I'm kind of a sentimental person, but
Yeah.
I can't walk past 824.
I don't walk past 824. It's a painful memory. I mean, there's great memories in there, sure. But what better way to honor that guy?
Oh, yeah. I just hope there's merchandise. Hope there's T-shirts.
Well, actually, we're working on a few things,
Yeah.
And if not this year, certainly next year.
Do you know what a collector's item would be to have the inaugural T-shirt?
Like the John Belushi college sweater.
Oh, come on. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, come on.
Oh,
No.
man.
So, guys, you've got to come out for the Foyo Beer Fest on October the 21st. Mr. O'Brien and I will be there. We'll be leading the charge because we had some shenanigans with Coach Foyo along the way.
Yes, we did.
Yes,
But
we
now
did.
we are responsible adults.
Is
And-
this true?
And we have
Have we matured?
matured. We resisted.
Well, the hardest thing to resist is temptation.
We dragged our feet.
Kicking and screaming into
But
adulthood.
somehow maturity has been bestowed. Yeah.
Yeah, all of those
Yeah.
things.
So now we're very responsible. We party and we're good people. But that's not what I wanted to do.
You fought it a long time, dude.
I resisted. But the force won. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with age comes some wisdom. And I think we're in good places to share with these kids. You don't have all the answers at 16. No, you really don't,
No.
because you don't have all the answers at 66 either, And speaking of numbers, and it's just a number, but it's a big one. You are going to turn 70 this year. When I met you, you were 29.
Mm.
That's disconcerting.
Yeah.
But, here we are. And do you give it much thought? I mean,
About my mortality?
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, I mean, I miss, when we were young and our folks used to talk about health issues, we always used to say, we're not going to do it when we grow up. And
That's
then,
all we talk about.
that's all we
now.
talk about, right? But
Jesus.
I do miss the ability to do certain things,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not running anymore. I'm no longer running marathons, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I still paddle for the Castaways, but I'm
Your shoulder's a disaster.
I'm in a tandem, but you just celebrate the things you can do and you don't worry about what you can't.
But I think being around young people, you don't understand the passage of time like people in other
No.
jobs may, because you're always around young people and you're always with the same people. And, 5 years becomes 10, 10 becomes 20. And it's a classic example
Yeah.
of the days are long, but the years are short.
Yeah, I mean, the Buddha said that you think you have more time, but you don't. And he wasn't being grim. It's just the fact that what was it, T.S. Eliot? We had the
experience, but missed the meaning. Yeah.
That's what it is. But, I'd like to say, I know we're probably going to wrap up here soon, but, if there's any young explorers listening to this, right? I mean, being a teenager is a challenge. And a lot of times you're going to be really, really in the dark. And you're going to feel like maybe you don't fit in, or that you don't know your direction, not appreciated. And, it's just you really, the waves are tall and the wind's strong. But, the funny thing about it is that I can honestly say this as being a longtime teacher and whatever it is we do. I said, there are people at this school that have the beautiful gift that God gave them to make you sit down and just take a moment and really see that no matter how dark the situation is, the storm will pass and the sun will come up tomorrow morning. This is one thing Columbus does very, very well, right? This place has the gospel of hope. And if you are a young person going through hard times, and like we fully admit we don't want to ever be teenagers again, right? You're in the right place to get help.
The gospel of hope. That's a killer line. That's a great hook right there.
Yeah.
It truly is. I think you just named this episode. Eventually you're everybody's going to move on from this place. It might be a hard question to answer, but what would you like your legacy to Columbus High School? What would you like it to be?
This is going to be so weird, okay?
Yeah.
So weird.
Well,
okay.
You're weird. So.
Well, okay, I'm going to fit right in the church of the weird, the upper weirdness, right? No plaques.
All right.
No day off.
Okay.
I don't want anything like that. I will be at peace in knowing that I made this place 1% better than it was when I got here.
You made it a lot more than 1% better.
Mission accomplished.
There's no doubt about that. And, through hard times, good times, ups and downs, strikes and gutters and everything else, you're a constant. You're a constant to this place, and you're a constant in my life.
Is this episode coming to an end?
It is.
Thank God I can finally get out of here and get that cup of coffee I've been thinking about.
The man has a way of keeping me, feeling underappreciated. And I love you for that.
Keep him on edge, right? Keep him on edge. Keep him on edge. That's how you get the best performance. Keep him a little bit unsure.
You really had money on me lasting 3 weeks.
Oh, but in Vegas lost money too.
On that note, on that gospel of hope.
We actually like each other. We actually love each other, but I know it's hard. It's tough love.
You're
right?
my boy.
All right,
you
brother.
are.
All right.
So what a great way to kick off season 5, despite the technical challenges and the venue changes. As always, we get things done. So Explore Nation, this truly has been Buenos Tiempos with the one and only, the OG OB. Oh, and before I forget, yes. CTE again. In March, mid-March, I forget the exact date, we are going to do an evening with the two of us to celebrate OB's 70th birthday. I would get there early because what an evening that's going to be. I don't know how it's going to end. We could both be unemployed by the end of the evening, but what a way to go out.
And I think it's also the day of a solar eclipse.
Well, how much better does it get than that? So yeah, me and OB sometime in March, mid-March, it's going to be.
I made that.
But you made up most of the things you taught, and you say it so convincingly. That's
anyway, sooner or later it will be true.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, why not? Listen, Explore Nation, this has been fun. It always is. So until next time, adelante and take it easy. Thanks, brother.